Katniss Everdeen's a lot like Maximus Decimus Meridius. Father to a dead son, husband to a dead wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life and the next. I had to do it, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is they both fight in arenas, they both have to win over the audience, and they both have to kick a lot of ass to stay alive. Except Jennifer Lawrence looks better in yoga pants. Hey there guys, how are you? So here's my movie review for Hunger Games Catching Fire. So this movie stars Jennifer Lawrence. By the way, on a side note, I really enjoyed her jogging scenes in the movie Silver Linings Playbook. I don't know why, just like if I seen a chick like that jogging around my neighborhood, I'd throw in a trash bag and start chasing after her too. And the movie also stars Josh Hutcherson. Now this is the second installment of the Hunger Games trilogy. We have one more movie to go. Because there's 3 books, 3 movies, it just makes sense. Now, I'll give you my quick thoughts on the first Hunger Games movie. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised by it because I didn't know anything about it going into the movie. I was just happy it wasn't some cheap ripoff of Twilight. It's some generic romance story with vampires making love. They're all pale. They sparkle in the sunlight, and there's a werewolf kid over there watching us make love. It's getting awkward, but I kind of like it. So yeah, I thought the first Hunger Games movie was enjoyable. Now, in this Hunger Games sequel, we get a new director, which I thought was a much needed addition to this sequel because I watched the first movie, and as I was watching it, I was like, this movie could be a lot better if they just had a different director, not shaking the camera so much. So before I jump into the plot and the performances and all my issues I have with this movie and all that other mumbo jumbo, let me first talk about the tone of this movie. It's very similar to the first movie in a lot of ways, but I would say this movie is like The Dark Knight compared to Batman Begins. The first movie is like Batman Begins, this one's like The Dark Knight. It just feels a little bit more dark and eerie and drabby and a little bit more, I don't know, grandiose, a little bit more epic than the first movie. Now, speaking of the first movie, let me first say this. I understand that these movies are based on pre-established source material known as books. Now, with that said, here's what I'm talking about. Both movies pretty much replicate the exact same pattern. In both movies, the first half is all about the Hunger Games, getting into it, the corrupt capital, going through the politics, the system, and then the second half is them killing each other in some big arena. Now, calm down, I'm not complaining. It was just simply an observation. It kind of reminds me of all of the Rocky movies. You know, it opens up with a story, then you have a training montage with cool 80s music, and then you have a boxing match. Now, before we continue on, I'll give you my quick plot synopsis of this movie. It's pretty much the same thing you got in the first movie, except this time around it opens up with Katniss Everdeen and PETA. Every time I say that kid's name, I always think of this right here. Basically, these two are forced to tour around, giving speeches to all the different districts, acting like they're happy and they're in love with each other, but it's all bullshit and lies to keep the masses in line from the corporate, greedy capital. And by the way, speaking of that, I really enjoyed the social commentary in this movie, and I'm a huge conspiracy theorist, so I really buy into this stuff. I research it all the time. Yeah, that's what I do at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm on my computer looking up, you know, JFK conspiracy theories. This movie really tries to hammer the point across that all media, especially news outlets, are corrupt and evil. They're really just trying to take your focus off of what's important and put it on something else. You have these corrupt corporate conglomerates that control all of the media. Why else would we have an E-network featuring a show about the Kardashians? It's to distract your mind, man. Now, in the beginning of this video, I talked about how much I hated the shaky cam in the first Hunger Games movie. I will say there's one segment in this movie where they're actually battling each other, and they did a lot of shaky cam and a lot of zoom, and it only lasts for maybe 30 seconds or so. So yeah, to me that scene really stood out because the rest of the movie shot very well, except for this one scene where the camera literally, it felt like it was post-production zoomed in a little bit to avoid what was happening, and then they shook it a little bit, and it just, I don't know, it just felt like they literally at the last second did that on the cutting room floor to avoid showing, oh yeah, this actually gets stabbed there and there's blood, but we're not going to show that. And by the way, speaking of blood and violence in the island, this chick right here with a battle axe, I like it. So as far as some of the battles and confrontations that happened on this island, I was pretty interesting. I was involved in it, they had good suspense, and there's baboons at one point. So before I give you my final rating on this movie, I first want to say this about the action climax of the ending of this movie. 1.21 gigawatts! Yeah, that was the first thing that went through my head when all that happened. So if you haven't seen Hunger Games Catching Fire, you have no clue what I'm talking about. And if you still have no clue what I'm talking about, go watch Back to the Future. So I'm going to give Hunger Games Catching Fire a B. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And by the way, here's my new Flick Pick t-shirt. It says, get to the Flick Pick. Get to the chopper! Awful, I know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.